This is the 2024 Land Rover Defender Outbound Edition. Is it worth every penny? Hey everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. Today I'm at Land Rover of Shreveport to give you the information to answer the question phrased in the title of the video. And as you can see, this is not the Defender 110, it's the Defender 130. So you're going to find a little bit of extra space here within the interior. And even based on one thing that you may or may not know about, the ability to carry additional weight on the roof compared to models that don't have the same tires that are on this particular model. The exterior color on this model that you're going to be able to see a lot better up here on the upper portion on the roof up there is Santorini black. It's going to have the satin protective film and ebony interior with ebony accents. Basically everything is ebony as far as the interior colors go. And when we work our way around here to the front end, we're going to find some gloss black, but I think it's tastefully done in the right areas and a look that ultimately balances a little bit of that luxury high-end look, but also the aggressive look that the Defender really deserves. We'll find the premium LED headlights and the signature daytime running lights, auto high beam assist. You're going to also have your fog lights down there on the lower portion of the bumper in that area right there. And everything here is active. This model will obviously come standard all-wheel drive. And while I can't say for sure how many people actually get out and go off-roading with their Defender, it is very capable. Whether people actually take it to its capabilities or not, well, that's another story altogether. In fact, if you're one of those people, tell us down in the comments section if you've been off-road with your Defender. Being all-wheel drive, let's talk about the tire and wheel size. And there's a few things to talk about where the tires are concerned. We're going to have 255 for our width, a 60 series sidewall wrapped around the gloss black 20-inch wheels. And something that I do really like here is the fact that you don't have to ask whether or not there is a spare tire. You can see it right here, and you can see that it's also a full-size spare. Very easy access. It's not hidden underneath the rear of the vehicle. It's also not under the floor in the rear. That works pretty well. And besides these Goodyear tires being all-terrain, there is a difference that comes with these tires compared to the all-seasons, and that's the fact that the dynamic roof up there is going to be able to carry an additional 150 pounds if you have these tires on your Defender. That bumps it up to 370 pounds total. And here is what the remote looks like. If we can get that tag out of the way right there, that's the back of the remote. There's the front with your buttons right there. Everything pretty self-explanatory as to what it is. And when you lock the vehicle, you will see that we have power folding side view mirrors. They're going to be in gloss black, the turn signal indicator built in. They are power adjusting, they're heated, and you also have the blind spot monitoring built in. So quite a bit going on with those side view mirrors. We could almost do a video on the mirrors all by themselves. And as we work our way around, we're going to have the classic look with the tail lights here that, well, easy to know that it's a Defender. Even without the logo right here, that would be no problem. And you can even get a workout opening and closing this rear door that is not going to be a power opening door for obvious reasons. When you open that, you can help yourself out a little bit to get in better shape, especially with that full-size spare tire. The tow hooks here on the rear, and something that I am personally pretty impressed with as far as the numbers go here. You see the tow hitch receiver, or the hitch receiver, I should say, right here, not the tow hitch receiver, but you can laugh if you want to. I have to give you a reason to do that in every single video. Just keeps you entertained and maybe keeps you watching. But the towing capacity is rather impressive at a potential of 8,201 pounds. And this is what's called an MHEV, or a mild hybrid electric vehicle. Under the hood is going to be a 3-liter 6-cylinder, but it puts out a plentiful 395 horsepower, 406 on the torque. It's mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And for those of you who wanted to see what's under the cover, well, there you go. Let's talk about MPGs on this Defender Outbound Edition. 16 city, 18 highway, 17 combined, and 5.9 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. And if you're curious about how much gas you can fill the gas tank with, it has a 23.8 gallon gas tank. And for those who are not fans of capless fuel fill, this should make you happy. You have a what I would call old school gas cap, because you don't see as many of those as you used to. And it's a good thing that there is 76.1 cubic feet of potential cargo space, depending on how you set things up, because there's a lot of different goodies that come with this Outbound edition. Now, if you walked up to the rear of the vehicle and you said, boy, that's just way too high for me, there is an easy solution with the air suspension. And I kind of cheated because I raised it all the way up just so I could show you. Now you can hopefully see that the vehicle is lowering right here. I'm going to drop it all the way down until it's at its lowest position. And that could help in a lot of different ways because, well, depending on what you need to do, the height of the vehicle is going to help not only with using this rear cargo area, but obviously you can change that depending on if you're off-roading and need to gain some height or whatever the case is. You'll have a little bit of storage right here, the Defender logo, and a little bit of help. I guess this is almost meant to be a handle. I'm not sure if that's really what it's for or not, but you could kind of use that to get the door moving to close that in case that's a little heavy for you. And you do have the hooks right here that can be brought out into place to hang bags off of or whatever it needs to be there to keep it from rolling around in the interior, and a couple of different options for power, including the power outlet right here, and there's also a 12 volt back here as well. Quite a bit going on, and you can see the panoramic sunroof. Now there is an additional sunroof back here in the rear, but you might notice that this model does not have a third row of seating. That's going to help to increase cargo space back here in this rear area and help you have some additional space for tying things down and whatever the case is, whatever you might need. And besides the option to carry some gear on the roof, to carry quite a bit in the rear cargo area, you also have the side mounted option right here that definitely gives some additional opportunity. Quite a bit of space in here. In fact, you have the net right here where you can hold things back so they're not jiggling around and moving around in there if you need to keep something in a certain place. But you can actually fit quite a bit in there. Just a nice little added benefit. And by the way, this is what you're going to need to open that area of the vehicle. You'll find this set of keys typically within the glove box. And we'll take a look into the rear seat area and find out what your rear seat passengers will find. The classic Defender look with the exposed screws here on the door panels, that's going to be on all four doors. And as far as the armrest goes, it is very comfortable. It does seem to have quite a bit of padding, so I think that somebody could hold their arm on there for quite a long time and be nice and comfortable in doing so. The more of what I would call a bottle holder right here than a door bin, but it could be used for both. Whatever can fit in there will also find a little bit of recline to these rear seats. I have these reclined back to where they would go, and a nice look with the overall design. The seats are nice and comfortable as well. And something else that I like for you parents out there that will use the latch system back here is that you have nothing to keep up with as far as any kind of little covers that snap on and off or anything like that, depending on if you're using the latch system or not. And you're also going to find the floor covered with what really fits with a vehicle that is as off-road capable as the Defender is, because obviously people could get things dirty with their shoes, mud, dirt, whatever's tracked in and out. So that's beneficial. You can just hose that off, clean it off. That's a good thing. And we have 4 zones total of climate control. So we also have heated seats here in the rear seating area. And then depending on what you need to do, you can adjust the temperature right here. You can see you can also sync those two sides together. You can adjust the fan speed. We have the 2 zones here in the rear. There are 2 additional zones of climate control in the front, and then also a couple of USB options right there, and a little bit more storage space back here on the rear of the seats. And for those who maybe wanted to see what it looks like from the back seat vantage point as far as the panoramic sunroof goes, well, there you go. that's what you're going to have. Now, we also have the fold-down armrest with the cup holders built in. And an obvious question to answer on whether or not this Defender Outbound Edition is worth every penny is, how many pennies would it take to buy it? Well, a total, when it all comes together, of $104,873. Let's see what else you get for the price beyond what I've already shown you. And as I said earlier in the video, those exposed screws on the door panels at all 4 doors. Nice plentiful space here with the armrest. And you do have more of what I would call a door bin right here. Quite a bit more space than what we saw with the rear. Heated and ventilated seats. They're going to be power adjustable here for the driver and passenger. You're going to have the pass-through here that offers quite a bit of space. Nice option there for additional room, and the handle right here to help out if anyone needs to grab onto that, whether it's when dropping the hammer on that 3-liter 6-cylinder engine under the hood, or maybe off-roading. Also, the oh crap handles, more appropriately named up here, but I guess they both could be potentially oh crap handles. Now, here's something interesting. There's a lot of people out there saying, and I totally disproved this in a recent video, that the new Hyundai Santa Fe looks like the Land Rover Defender. I don't really see too much of that, if any at all. But one thing that's interesting, in this area of the new Santa Fe, there's actually a cover that goes down, but it has a sanitizer where you can put your phone or your wallet or watch or whatever will fit right there. Do you think Land Rover should add something like that? Tell me what your thoughts are on that. Just kind of interesting to see that, but this area is usable for space, and there is a USB option right there. Let's reach down here and we'll open the glove box. Quite a bit of space in there. Do have some things taking up space, but that's what you have. And you have your old school, I'll call it, knob for controlling, or dial if you want to call it that, but that's for controlling the radio, turning it on and off, and the volume. So nice to see that everything hasn't gone into the infotainment screen, including the controls for the air conditioning. In fact, I'll turn that on just so you can see some of that. That makes things easier. And you're going to push in here. Let's see if we can get that to work. I may have to actually turn the vehicle on to do that, but we'll get to talking a little more about that as we get into the driver's seat. But you will find another 12-volt power outlet and USB options here. You have the cover right here for the cup holders, so that cleans things up nicely, but obviously that can be removed and stored away when needed. Here's your wireless charging pad, and you have really a multitasker here of sorts, because it could be used just for basic storage, but it's also a refrigerated console with a couple of different settings. That's what the control right here, the button, is for. 2 different settings where that is concerned. And on the upper console, we're going to find a few different options there as well. You can control the sunroof and the power shade that I did draw forward just so you can see that way. If the interior gets too warm, maybe with that open on a bright sunny day, there's an easy option to deal with that. And here on the driver's side door, the obvious additions that you would expect to see: the controls for all 4 windows, 3 different settings for seat memory right there, and the controls for your side view mirrors as well. And a little more space up here. Again, Land Rover taking advantage of space that a lot of automakers don't. Making that available makes things nice and easy. We'll hop inside, and you can see the likeness of your Defender. And the good thing is that it is a Defender 130. Just some added value right there instead of just throwing a 110 onto the screen. We'll reach over here and start the engine with the push button start. And a very nice modern look with the instrument cluster. Everything is digital. Now, there's no changes, obviously, where that is concerned for 2024, but for those who may not have seen it before, now you know what you have as far as that goes. So, we have quite a bit to look at here. Steering wheel mounted controls. Again, that nice modern look. As far as what you have here, you can turn on the heated steering wheel, something I don't need today. It's going to be 80 degrees in Northwest Louisiana on February 22nd. That's right. If you're in a very cold climate and you're not happy, just hold your hands up to the screen. You might warm up. And here's where we're going to control the functionality of the lights on the exterior. And there's even an additional option of how you can use this lever on the left-hand side of the steering column. Some of you are probably wondering, what is that additional option? I don't know about that, and you don't have to tell me because I know you don't. I drive around you, and you don't use your blinkers. It's okay to laugh. If you got offended, that means you probably don't use your blinkers. Anyway, yes, it's good to laugh, especially if you made it to this point in the video. Thank you for continuing to watch. I do appreciate that. And right here, I probably don't need to tell you too much about what that is. That's going to control your front and rear window wipers. And the shifter right here, what do you think about that? Do you like that? Would you rather see it maybe on the steering column or somewhere down here on the center console? What are your thoughts with that? And speaking of the center console, one thing I didn't talk about earlier, the height of the center console with this lid right here makes that ideal to be used as an armrest, which is what it is intended for anyway. And now that I have the ignition on, we can see how to control the ventilated and heated seats here. So that is going to have its advantages. I will probably have ventilated seats on before the day is over with something that I'm filming. And the infotainment screen, the Pivi Pro, it's nothing new, but it sure is convenient. It works very well. It's a big upgrade from the previous infotainment system that used to be in a lot of the Land Rovers. Very useful information here. Very easy to deal with. Wireless connectivity for your cell phone, and you can see a lot of what's going on with the vehicle. You can also go here to this area and see the icons for all of your different options and features. There's so much here. And even wade sensing. Let's say you live in an area where maybe it floods out when there's a lot of heavy rain. This will help you to know how deep the rain is, or the water is, how deep the rain is. Well, there you go, another reason to laugh. It's a good thing to laugh, and sometimes I unintentionally give you that option. But you can see what all is here as far as that goes. Now, I'm going to go back here, and we're going to go to cameras. And as you can see, you have multiple views. This is the off-road view, so you can see what's in front of you. That could also help you when you're driving in deep water, or whatever the situation is. You have your overhead view here, and depending on what you want to see, well, you just push the appropriate area, select the appropriate area on the screen right here, and obviously you have your 360-degree view. That not only could be helpful off-roading, but maybe that pesky driver that parks a little too close to you when you're in the parking lot at the mall or wherever you may be, you can see how close you are to them. And towing even. You have your view right there. Makes it easy to back up to a trailer if you need to, not only from looking from the rear of the vehicle, but also that overhead view. There is a lot to talk about here. I'm not going to cover every single little thing, but you can see what's here. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, so you can pair your phone and basically have the screen mirror your phone. It's really pretty easy to deal with. We also have climate right here within the screen. Now, I talked about how you can control everything right here. It's nice to know that you can. So if you need to do that, it's not a big deal. You can sync those two together as well. You can also go here to air quality. There's just a lot going on here. I'm not going to go into great detail about that, but depending on what you need to do with the vehicle, well, you can do that. And if you want to turn the auto stop start system off, you can do that right there. You have your hill descent control right there that you can use. So a lot going on, and obviously you can change the positioning of the suspension, how high the vehicle is off the ground, depending on what you need to do. Traction control, obviously, on and off as well. Quite a bit going on. And one more thing I did want to make sure to tell you about, you have your clear sight rear view mirror. So you can use it as a traditional rear view mirror, but I will say this, you can adjust a lot of things, including the position and what you're seeing behind you, basically, as far as the angle goes. It takes a little bit of getting used to, at least it has for me in the past when I first started driving vehicles with these basically rear view camera mirrors. But once you're used to it, I think you'll like it a lot. And besides parking sensors that you'll also find here, you'll also find a head-up display. And I don't know that I'm able to pick that up as well today, trying to give you the best shot possible, but it is here. Okay, we'll get out on the road for a quick test drive here with the Defender, and I do want to make sure I mention one thing I didn't mention earlier in the video, and I don't know if anyone's going to ask even if I don't say anything about it, but you do have a tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. It is power adjustable. The control for that is going to be on the right-hand side of the steering column. Overall, a very versatile vehicle. And while the interior is nice and comfortable and there's plenty of room here, the ride quality is good, even with the off-roading capabilities. Now, one thing about the off-road capabilities is that actually transfers to on-road safety. If it's wet, you're dealing with rain and the roads are slick, you're still going to have the help of the all-wheel drive system that is so useful in so many different ways here on these Land Rover vehicles to help you out in that situation, whether it's wet, slick roads or dealing with snow. Obviously, that's very helpful. I have a friend who lives in Colorado, and his house is in the mountains, and when people come over to visit, the only way they're driving up to the top of his driveway where the house is located, because of the steep angle of the driveway, is by having an all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive vehicle. So if you have a Land Rover Defender and you go to visit my friends, you'll be in good shape, that's for sure. But it's not just useful off-road. I know a lot of people, as we've talked about earlier in the video, talk about how so few people take their Defenders off-road. I really don't know for sure what the numbers are on that as far as statistics, if that's even available. But the capabilities help in so many different ways, in so many different situations. And obviously you have a very roomy interior for driver and passengers, also plentiful space for cargo capacity, as we talked about earlier. A lot of versatility here. This is a very, very useful vehicle in a multitude of ways. Being able to tow a little over 8,000 pounds, that's going to be helpful. What isn't to like here, I wonder? But one way or another, I know there are some of you who own Defenders. Tell me what your pros and cons are as far as maybe your top 3 things you like, top 3 things maybe you don't like. I'm curious to know. But one way or another, you definitely have a vehicle that is going to get the job done in a multitude of situations. So tell me what you think. Is the 2024 Land Rover Defender Outbound Edition worth every penny? Curious to know what your thoughts are. Is this something you plan to buy? Maybe you're going to buy a different version of the Defender. I'm always curious to know. I do want to say a special thanks to my friends here at Land Rover Shreveport for loaning me this Defender for the day, and a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the like button. That helps me out a lot. And if you haven't subscribed to the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel just yet, please consider doing so. That way you don't miss any future videos. And if you would like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.